So, what's up, guys? I'm going to explain to you the whole, at least my theory on what salad fingers is. Since I see everyone on YouTube posting like these questions like, what the hell is he? And blah, 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 blah. So, I'm just going to give you like my theory on what it is. And everyone that I tell this theory to, they pretty much agree. So, I think that salad fingers is a radioactive and or radiation, excuse me, infected human being who has a ton of different mental disorders, and that could be because of the radiation poisoning, or he could have just been born that way, or other things. And this is why that I believe this. Okay, in I think it's episode 6, where he is hanging out in his house or whatever, and his friend Hubert Cumberdale comes around, and this episode's actually really interesting because in this one you see Hubert Cumberdale like actually walking around as a person, so it kind of gives you like two different points of view. It gives you a point of view of what Salad Fingers sees like through his eyes, and then it also gives you a point of view of like what we see as viewers, like if we were actually like watching Salad Fingers like do this, you know what I mean? So in the sixth episode, again, the reason that I believe that he's infected by radiation is because he always mentions this thing called the Great War, which I believe to be, probably anything like World War III or something, some kind of mass nuclear war, which again, if you watch all the episodes, you can pretty much tell that the place that he's living or whatever seems very, very like post-apocalyptic and very like radiation infected. Like all the trees and the ground and everything just looks really like dead. Like it's still there, but it's just like all dead and gloomy and eerie and all that kind of stuff like that. So in the first one, I'll explain, like why he has these disorders and different points of view and all those things like that. So in the first episode, it's just him, and then that's like an awesome episode. Again, that just ties into the fact that he is a human being, and that he is, like it's very like futuristic. This is just a representation of like the future if there was like a great war. And in the first episode you just see everything, like there's houses, there's other people, hence the yellow guy with the big eyes, and there's other people, and I believe that they're all survivors of this great war that he keeps talking about. And obviously they're all infected. It's like some Fallout 3 kind of stuff. They're all infected like human beings. Like maybe some of them like born that way, maybe some of them were like made that way. I think Salad Fingers was made that way. I don't think Salad Fingers was actually in the war. Maybe he was, I guess you could, because there are some episodes that make you think that he was in the war, but then there's other episodes where it makes me think that he just knows people that were in the war. So again, in the first one it just shows, because there's still like normal stuff, like he likes his rusty spoons, and the tea kettle is there and stuff like that. And in the second one, that's when the whole thing about mental disorders kicks in, because he has his three friends, which are on his fingers: Hubert Cumberdale, Marjorie Stewart Baxter, and Jeremy Fisher. um, the personality disorder that's here is probably some kind of like multi-personality disorder or paranoid schizophrenia or something. Like he actually believes that these people like are real. If anything, they're people that he's known like in his life. Like he actually does know these people, and they have been in his life before. Like you don't know if they're dead now, or if it's just like his mind that's going crazy, because obviously like he has a lot of like mental disorders, and he's like infected from radiation or radioactivity or like anything like that. So in that one, all that kind of stuff happens, and he does this weird stuff, like he eats his friends, he tastes them and stuff like that. And also keep in mind, episode 2 is very important, because when he eats the three friends, he only eats Marjorie, which he says tastes like sunshine dust, and Hubert Cumberdale, which he says tastes like soot and poo. But he doesn't taste Jeremy Fisher, and this is very important because that ties in with episode 6, and I'll get to that in a minute. And in the third episode, which is, Nettles or whatever, and this is just another thing which makes me believe, gives you clues as to this whole, like, Great War theory or whatever. There's other people that are there, whatever, In the first episode, there's the yellow guy with the big eyes. In the second episode, there's the kid, and he looks like a normal kid. I think he is infected though, just because he's just walking around in his little high school T-shirt or whatever, his high school jersey. So and then he ends up dying because Salad Fingers kills him because he does the finger thing, and then he dozes off. And the thing with that is, I think that since he's so like infected and so like mind warped with whatever, he doesn't know he doesn't know that he is what he is, like he does weird things, like when he cuts his finger, and he likes the idea of bleeding, you know what I mean? Like that's just what it's done to him. Like he's so messed up in the head that that's just what he does. And in Nettles, he does the thing where he rubs it on his nipple and does all that stuff. And there's a weird guy who has no arms, and he bangs his head and he kills himself and all that stuff. And then Salad Fingers still thinks that like he just talks to him like he's a normal person or whatever, which is pretty cool or whatever. And then in episode 4, obviously another great clue as to why the whole Great War theory is in place. The first thing he says is like, "Hello, today I'm going to try and find France." So obviously, like, he is on the planet Earth, and there are other humans. It's just that everybody's infected by the radiation and stuff like that. He has his little hat and stuff like that. So, and then on that fourth episode, he pretty much just does what he does or whatever, and then he ends up getting caught, and then freaks out. And again, he likes the idea of blood and getting, like, he loves pain, just because, remember, he gets caught by the bear trap, and like, he likes it. So that's just another thing. And in episode 5, which is actually a pretty cool episode, he's on the phone as it starts off, saying like, "Can you hook me up with my old pal Charlie, please?" And even though the phone, if you notice, is like disconnected, there's no cord connecting it between that and the other. And then there's that part just for a couple seconds where it shows the phone, and it's like making this really like loud sound or whatever. And I don't know if he thinks. I think that is a point of view from Salad Finger's eyes, where he thinks that he's like actually hearing this. Like he does think that there is somebody else on the other line or whatever. He actually thinks that he's talking to somebody, and then he like rubs his stomach and then just puts the phone down and just like doesn't even think you know anything of it. Like it just happens or whatever. Like he doesn't. It's like he's in a bad acid trip or something like that. Like he doesn't know what's going on, but he knows that he's alive. And then he pulls out Hubert Cumberdale, and he's like talking with him or whatever. And then for some reason he calls him Barbara Logan Price, and makes him a friend hat and sings a little song. And then he says like this thing in like this other language, like whatever he says. And but he is human, he's very intellectual. And then there's like this scene where he does this wedding or whatever, and I think that's just like some kind of post-traumatic stress disorder that's going on. Like he like is always like replaying events from his life in the past before all this happened, and he is the way that he is now. I think he's always just going through these repercussions of doing whatever he does, and that's his daily life or whatever. So, and then he has the picnic, and then the little girl comes, and she's a normal little girl, she's just doing her thing or whatever, and she comes over and eats. And then the part that's weird about this episode is that he gets really scared after the girl says, "I think he likes spoons too." And I don't know if it was the girl that scared him saying what she said, or if it was the bird taking the spoon from him that scared him, because even though the bird takes the spoon from him, he laughs about it. And then when the girl says what he says, that's what sends him into a trip. Because I think that the girl makes him think of something that happened in his past or somebody that he knows, and it just like sends himself into like this psychedelic trip or whatever. And then it starts, making weird noises and doing weird things, and then it just ends with him in, the corner or whatever, and then it's over. So, back to the episode 6. This is my favorite episode personally, and I'll continue that next episode. Just view it.